Third round, Maidana jumps back on him, and that's how the fight turned out most of the night.
You were there in the training, obviously, a lot.
Yes.
That clubbing, man, especially the right hand, it seemed like it was really catching Floyd a lot in the first, say, 4 rounds. Then Maidana kind of slowed down a little bit, and I think Floyd got used to it. What do you think of just that angle of it?
It's a weird angle. You're not expecting that punch. It's a little unorthodox, a little weird, but that's what we had to work with Maidana to give Floyd problems. He had some early success with that. Later, Mayweather did some adjustments. But then at the end of the fight, Maidana rebounded it real well, finished real strong. I thought it was a very good fight, good performance on his part.
Well, I put you on the spot, man. How'd you score it? Or did you score it?
How did I wasn't sure. I just kind of had the fight, very close. I thought I wasn't in total agreement with the scorecards being that far off in points. But it just depends on what the judges are favoring. Even though the rounds could have been very, very competitive, if they're favoring Mayweather just a little bit, he's racking up the points.
A lot of the, Mayweather was kind of complaining about some of the roughhouse tactics in his team, but a lot of Chino's team was complaining about elbows that Mayweather was throwing. Did you see that maybe it was going both ways?
They're both, fighters. They're both doing what they got to do. It's a fight. Mayweather might have, retaliated a little bit with some elbows and even some low punches once in a while. And Maidana was obviously, very aggressive, a little rough, maybe a little dirty at times. But like I said, it's a fight. You got to do what you got to do, and that's what the ref is there for. Call the illegal punches or whatever, and warn the fighters. I thought it was a very good fight. I thought it was a good work by both guys. Fight. It's a fight.
Floyd, after the fight, he was saying that he made the fight a little bit tougher himself by choosing to fight, which seemed to me like it was discrediting Maidana a little bit. You as a fighter who's a technician, do you see yourself ever doing that type of thing where you're going to fight down to a fighter to make it interesting? Or what did you make of the statement?
Floyd can definitely box and use his legs a lot more. I think Maidana didn't allow him because he kept that pressure, relentless pressure all night. And maybe Floyd also might have wanted to maybe stand his ground and show the fans that he is a fighter and not just the guy that runs around. So it could have been a little combination of both things. But I think Chino had a really good game plan, and that's why Mayweather wasn't able to move as well as he normally does.
He also said that you're one of the top fighters coming up, and then he said he could do wonders with you if you were part of his stable. What do you think of the compliment, and then the second part of his compliment?
That shows a lot. It's wonderful to hear someone as great as him to compliment and give me props, like that. He talked, how he, Andre Ward, myself, Kipchak, to mention a couple of fighters here that are present. That shows, he sees, potential in us and he believes in us. It's like a basketball player getting props from Kobe Bryant or something. It's wonderful.
You've been in the gym with both fighters now. As far as watching them train, you've sparred with Maidana. You were at Floyd's open media workout. What can you talk about as far as comparisons and different training methods?
It's a different training method, definitely. Which we have a traditional round by round method. Maybe 10 rounds of this, 6 rounds of that, 4 rounds of this, back to 8 rounds, whatever. Mayweather trains nonstop for 30 minutes at a time. No rounds, just 30 minutes at a time, and then jumps to another thing for another 30 minutes, and then another 30 minutes, something else. I had never seen that, but it works for him. It may not work for everybody, but if it works for him, why change it,
Let's talk a little bit about tonight's fight, obviously. Beginning with the glove controversy. You're a fighter. I've asked this question to other fighters as well. How important is it knowing going into the fight that you're wearing gloves that you selected from the very beginning, or does it matter at all?
It matters because you want to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to perform as well. I fought before with some, gloves that were not the ones I chose, and it does affect you a little bit. I fought with some shorts that were not fitted properly, and it bothers you. You got to do what you got to do once you're in the ring, and hope that everything turns out well. But it is uncomfortable. If the gloves were not, approved for whatever reason, then I could understand. But the gloves that my team with Robert and Chino had were approved, and then tonight they say nope, you can't use them. That definitely messes a little bit, but you just do what you can and hope for the best.
Do you think it's a different fight if he happens to choose or play or fight in his particular gloves?
Well, it could definitely make a big difference if a punch lands and it's not as padded as the ones that they use. The ones they use are the Everlast Power Lock with a lot of padding and a lot of sponge in the front. the Everlast Mexican style, the traditional style, are they still have the padding, but it's a different padding. It's not the sponge. It's a different padding, and so we prefer that. We say those are puncher's gloves, just like the raised glove. But if the fighter, wants to kind of be protected, then he'll try to use those bigger gloves, and that's kind of what they did with Chino. They forced him to use the more padded gloves to have a little more protection.
Is there any update on your situation or when we might see you back in the ring?
Not yet, man. We're still waiting, playing the waiting game.
Do you have a target date you hope to be back, or?
I mean, I would want to be back as soon as possible, but we got to make sure that everything's resolved first before talking about any dates or names.
Are you still working on the contract situation then before you talk about a date?
Still talking about, still working. We're just waiting to see if they offer me something, and hopefully they do. I mean, I just want to get back in the ring as soon as possible, but we got to wait.
Does it look more like you're gonna? I mean, obviously they have the lawsuit. Is it something that you want a better situation with them, or you'd rather not be with them?
I want to have a better situation with them. It's something that they offer me that's in my terms. It's something that I'm happy with. As it is, we're working. Hopefully, we find something. If not, then let me know. If they can't do, they can't do what we want, or just agree on our demands, or whatever the reason may be, then let us know so that we can move on, move forward. I want to move on with my career. I want to be back in the ring. But if this takes long, if this takes 5-6 months from now, I'm fine with that. I got to take care of this first.
What is it? Which fight is it that you want? What, like, when you say things that you want, is there a specific fight, a specific date, a specific money? I mean,
it's a little bit of everything. There's fights out there. There's money. There's the way they handle business. Everything needs to be taken care of before going back in the ring.
Was it the case? I mean, I'll just bring it up. I mean, Yuri Okaskenbo is fighting Terrence Crawford, and I know for a long time you wanted that fight. Is that one of the fights that kind of sticks in your craw?
Sometimes fights don't happen for X amount of reasons. Sometimes the fighters don't agree to a fight. Sometimes it's the manager that don't take the fight. I know they offered Gamboa. They don't want to work maybe with Terrence Crawford. If the business is right with that, that's what they're going to go for. If the managers agreed to that one before they even talked about my fight with him, I understand a lot of the boxing, a lot of the policies and business behind it. I'm not going to just argue about one fight. I'm not looking after one guy in particular. I just want to have options available.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything, Mikey.
Thank you.